Good morning, Mr. Bob Zeigelbauer. So far, I've contacted you 3 times and sent you stuff via Facebook Messenger, and you have deigned to reply on 3 occasions with merely the word thanks. Of course, I'm not too sure what you're thanking me for when it's such a meagre response. But let me take you back to the very first email that I sent to Robert Herman. Rather tongue-in-cheek, I wrote to him that once Stephen and Brendan are exonerated and fully compensated, the best thing you can do is separate Manitowoc County from the rest of Wisconsin and set it off over Lake Michigan. Watch it sink whilst the rest of the civilized world cheers. As I said, that was somewhat tongue-in-cheek. And you know, having been to Manitowoc County, indeed that's where I got my Green Bay tie from, I don't bear any animosity whatsoever towards the good citizens there. And I must say that I thoroughly enjoyed myself there. I thought the people there were very, very friendly. We visited a few bars, as one does on a trip, and we, as I say, we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves there. You've got a nice, friendly community there, except for one huge issue, and it is indeed a huge shame that one huge issue will forever mark Manitowoc County down as being corrupt. Interestingly, of course, had Stephen Avery served his full 32 years sentence, he would have been out 3 years ago in 2017. The big problem, of course, he was released when DNA evidence proved that he was not the attacker of Penny Burns, despite the very best efforts of Kusurik and Vogel and Jean Couchet and Judy de Verbiage to put him away for those 32 years. He was released. He was pretty determined, as were his lawyers. 2003, alarm bells must have been ringing. Obviously, one of the big problems was the fact that the Attorney General, Peg Leixelager, her report was a whitewash and said that basically nobody was really to blame. But then, of course, Steve Glynn, Walt Kelly discover the phone call, the 95 phone call. And of course, Stephen Avery's civil suit went from 1 million to 36 million. It had to be stopped. It had to be stopped. Having spoken with Mike Griesbach, he was of the opinion that Steve would have got somewhere between 3 and 5 million, and that the insurers would have covered that money. One could argue we'll never know, because of course Steve did settle in the end for $400,000, enough to pay off Glynn and Kelly, and enough to hire Dean Strang and Jerry Buting, but nowhere near enough to buy the court and the jury. You know, when one follows Making a Murderer and digs deeply into the corruption over there in Wisconsin, one of the phrases that often comes up, Wisconsin, is Wisconsin courts are some of the best courts money can buy. I don't think it was the money, though, that was the problem. I think it was the embarrassment that it would cause, and it would cause a spotlight, a very bright spotlight, to be shined on Manitowoc and the officials there. and the corruption. As I said, Making a Murderer painted Manitowoc in a very bad light. Unfortunately, of course, Manitowoc is reaping the rewards of that very poisonous tree of the 85 wrongful conviction. Manitowoc had the opportunity in 2015, beginning of 2016, when Making a Murderer came out, to say, we've been caught in a lie. And they could have let go of that ever-rising balloon and could have done something about it. Maybe. Maybe the corruption is just so deep. Maybe Manitowoc is riddled with so much corruption that there are people who cannot let go of this ever-rising balloon. In that article I sent you about Jim Bray being an optical expert, an expert on eyes, proving that somebody is guilty. At the end of it, we see that Dave Remiker wrote to you asking for your assistance. He says, I don't know what to expect, but obviously he expects something from the officials, the executive of Manitowoc, to support them, and basically to tell them, yes, you did a great job, because you saved, as I say, not the money. I don't believe it was the money, although that was going to be problematic on a personal level for the people deposed, particularly Vogel and Kasurik. We know that Kasurik was frantically looking at some of his private insurance policies to see if they would cover him. And of course, just the fact that when somebody is filing a civil suit against you, you're having to then account for all of your income, all of your money, all that you've got saved, your properties, your cars, etc., etc. Hugely embarrassing. But it was going to be the embarrassment to Manitowoc. And I believe the fact that this huge light was going to be shone on Manitowoc. The press were going to have a field day. This was going to be huge, huge news. So what's going to happen this time round? What's going to happen when Stephen Avery is exonerated and Brendan Dassey, and they file their civil suits? Kathleen Zellner will be looking at $100 million civil suit. Stephen Avery will go down in history as the first man ever to be exonerated twice on such serious crimes as befitted a 32-year sentence and a life sentence. So, my question for you is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to brace the community, to prepare them? Are you going out at the moment, speaking to people, saying, yes, this is going to be a problem. This is going to cause huge embarrassment. What have you done or are doing to prepare for the inevitable? I might try and give you a phone call later on and have a chat with you. I'm not one of these abusive people that likes to hurl obscenities at people. I'm just a music teacher and a pragmatist. I see that you've got a huge, huge problem. And the rest of the world would like to know, what on earth are you going to do about it? Okay, hope you listen to what I've got to say. Hope you take my phone call later on. It'll be a pleasure to speak with you.